All right, guys. So in this video, I want to show you quickly. I came to my website this morning, and this particular website, weblanwan.com, showing that it's over quota. And basically, I've got an automated plugin that automatically gets content for me out there on the internet. And obviously, that has stopped working now. I'm no longer getting fresh content to my site. And when I go into cPanel, I actually see that on the right hand side here that I've maxed out my quota for the disk that I've allocated to this particular website, which is 25 gigs worth of storage. In this case, it's 23 gigs of storage that it's been allocated to this particular website. I'm sitting at 25.5 gigs, and I'm basically 109% in terms of capacity and utilization, and over utilization by 9%. And obviously, as a result, MySQL database is also, standing still because I've gone over quota on the MySQL disk usage. That obviously forms part of your disk utilization. And so if you've set a quota of 25 gigs, your MySQL database contributes towards those totals as well. Now, there's a number of ways we can come in here and just clean it up. And one of the ways is just to click on this guy over here. We can see that we're maxing out our storage basically. It's also stating to us that we can contact our service provider, but one of the ways we can actually come and see where the storage is being used is by coming to the disk usage manager that's built into your web host manager dashboard. And this is useful for when you have sort of temporary files and cache and various other things that you can quickly come and clear out without having to delete files and various other things. There are a number of different files and folders and directories that have quite a lot of different functions within cPanel and WHM. And sometimes there's backups and things like that that are happening in the background. And as a result, backups tend to pile up if they're not automatically archived or overwritten. Then your backups can contribute to a large amount of disk usage, ultimately creating an issue for you where your storage fills up. And the main way to go in is you can clear out those backups. I wouldn't recommend that. That depends how the backups are managed or maintained, and even how they are created. If they're incremental backups, and we don't want to start, just deleting backup files and folders, because it could potentially cause an issue where we don't have a valid backup anymore because we've deleted parts of a backup. So I tend to not go down the backup path. I tend to just basically come in here and I have a look at the public HTML folder. First of all, you can see that's where the majority of the space has been used. And if we just click on this guy over here, it should expand in a second. Look, the site is super slow right now. It's non-responsive because the storage is maxed out. So it becomes a little bit of a problem where we've got to go in and have a look and drill down and see where the storage is being used up. And you can see it's all WordPress. It's all based on the site itself that the majority of the storage has been used. And we'll probably find that it's the uploads folder once we drill into this, into WP content. This is where you have the majority of the files that are associated with your website. The uploads folder, for instance, has majority of the images that get uploaded on a per post basis. In this case, we can see that our cache has 10 gigs of cache, right, related to the various different posts and various things on the site. Now, the cache it's important to a degree where people come and visit your site, and it gets a cached version of the site gets hosted on the web server, so that the next time they come there, it's a cached version which loads pretty quickly for them. It doesn't have to reload that particular page. And as we can see over here, if we drill down even further into the cache, I mean, the cache is contributing to half of the amount of storage that we're using up here. So let's just wait for that to load. We've got super cache, so that's the plugin that we obviously use on the site. And if we actually just come to the site itself and log in. So what we want to do is come to our website, log in, and you'll see at the top here's the delete cache option. You can pretty much just go in there and delete cache. And there we go. Cache contents is now removed our cached pages, expired pages from the different cache plugins. List all cached files is an option that we can do prior to doing all that. But look, if you're not regularly clearing out your cache, any updates to old pages, the cache normally gets updated as a result, but sometimes you just keep serving old expired pages and posts to users. And, this cache tends to fill up really, really quickly, where you get to a point that you cannot really post anymore. I tried to do an update earlier, do the update because there just wasn't enough storage left. Okay, so just remember, keep that in mind. If you've got a caching plugin, make sure that it's set to prune older or cache on a regular basis, so that you're not sitting there sucking all the storage from your server. And also, obviously over time things tend to run really, really slowly as that cache database builds up. Okay, right, so we come here and we refresh the cPanel, and now you can see on the right hand side here we've got 63% storage back. We can see that the MySQL disk usage is now healthy again. This is green, that's green. Bandwidth, obviously it's sitting at 40%, so the site does okay in terms of traffic. But just remember, that's one of the ways that you can do that. The other way is if you just come to your web host manager and you click on this little plus sign over here and you scroll down, there's an option here, change quota or change plan or modify account. And if you change the quota, you can just up the quota. So right now it's sitting at 26 gigs. We can just come here and make that 30. Okay, we don't have enough space on the server itself, so the most we can do here is update it to 24, which would still make it over quota, right? So the best way to be able to do that is to go into your WordPress installation and start to prune out old posts, or you can increase your hosting plan. It just depends on what you are trying to achieve. If you are not making a lot of money with the site, increasing hosting plans, it gets expensive. And if you're not making any money from the site, why go through that? Typically, you're not monetizing your site correctly, or you're not monetizing your site at all. It's a matter of just diving into your website to see exactly what traffic is coming and where it's going on the site. And if there's certain parts of the website that it's just not getting any traffic at all, you can start to prune out those kind of posts that are not getting any eyeballs on it. The thing there is, there's a lot of different things to consider, because maybe there's some good content there. You're just not driving traffic to that particular piece of content on your website. So, obviously lots of things to consider. I would start with deleting the cache. I would look at possibly having a look at some of the other accounts on your web host, if you've got a shared web hosting plan, or even if it's a VPS with multiple sites running on it. It could be that there's sites on there that no longer exist. Like on my web hosting provider, most of them don't exist anymore. I've just kept them as backups because I'm looking at maybe building an alternative version of existing sites that used to live there. The other option is obviously if you've got backups on the file on the server, to have a look at your backups and see if there is any backups that are taking up a lot of space. Sometimes you don't get access to that. It might be that you'll have to raise a support request. It depends on your plan as well, if they're doing automatic backups and that type of thing. So there's lots of things to consider. Considering that I've just deleted the cache, I am just basically waiting for this to drop off from the web hosting provider. Sometimes you just have to log in and out for the storage counts to update. If we go over here, we can see that we've got enough storage now, and that's all looking good. It might be that the deleted files folder is now holding on to that storage. Okay, and sometimes that just takes a little bit of time to clean out as well. Sometimes it might take a server reboot, but in general, the deleted files folder should automatically be cleaned out. And again, it depends on what kind of hosting you have. If that is managed by the hosting provider, we can just come back down here and have a look and see exactly where that storage is being used up. We've also got temp files and folders here, but it's really a small amount, so we don't really need to worry about that. The overall server is sitting at 19 gigs, so you can see that there's probably still some some files and folders somewhere along the line that need to be cleared out. That's at the root, and that's basically the totals of all of this, but this doesn't add up to 19 gigs. So we can continue to just dive back into here and have a look and see if we can find anything else that we can clean out. And you can see that the WP content folder is the one that had all the files, was taking up the most of the space, and like I said before, it was the uploads, and you can see the different folders based on the year of how much data has been stored in there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to log out quickly. It might be that it just takes a little bit of time for it to update. It's just one of those things, right? Unfortunately, it just takes a little bit of time. That is my primary domain. So let's just come back here, click on that, close that out. If we have a look up at the top here, we can see that it's showing that we're only using 39%. So somewhere along the line, it's still showing that we're over quota, and let's just dive a little bit deeper into that. So the way to do that obviously is to come here, and we can just having a look at the quota again, and now you can see that it's been updated. Okay, so simple logging out, logging in, refreshes, however the server is being cached, or that stuff is in the deleted files folder. And sometimes it just takes a little bit longer for the web hosting provider to clear out those files after you've deleted them. This is a shared host through HostGator, so obviously it's there's a whole lot of different websites that share this particular plan with me. So it's the host obviously has a priority on what it does, so that it doesn't bog down the server. Most hosting providers will first have a look at the utilization, and it's all automated. Really, it's not a manual process. And there's certain jobs that kick off, cron jobs, and that type of thing that will go in and start to clear out and clean up the server and just keep it running optimally. I hope that helps. Those are the two best ways to do it, and obviously there's a ton of options. You can go FTP into the server itself, into the website, and have a look at the files and folders breakdown. You could also just come to File Manager, and once File Manager launches, you have the options to have a look at the files and folders that are in your WordPress installations. Pretty straightforward. It's not really that complicated, and it's a pretty quick and easy process, right? You obviously should be backing up your server or your website at least before you make any of these big changes. Unfortunately, if you don't have the storage or the space or the capacity left on the actual hosting provider itself, you're not going to be able to do a backup of that. In that case, you basically need to FTP from your laptop or server or whatever you are using to connect, and take a local backup of the website, just so that you have it, right? In this case, 20 gig website is quite substantial and take quite a number of hours for it to download. Again, depends on your internet speed. So that's pretty much it for this video. And I hope it's been useful and helpful in some way. I know we went through these things pretty quickly. I just wanted to really just deep dive into this as I find problems and issues with my sites. So I know that most of you or some of you are having those particular issues as well, and would appreciate some guidance and help in thinking about it a few things differently rather than just going in there and just trying to delete stuff which could ultimately break the website itself. Thanks for watching this episode of Webby Tuts, and I'll see you in the next one.